Good morning. I'm Ellie, registered nurse and vascular health educator. And today I want to ask you a simple question. Do you have a glass of juice in the morning? Orange juice maybe? Apple juice? Grape juice? Possibly a fruit smoothie made from blended juice and fruit. It's a habit that millions of Americans have had their whole lives. The morning glass of juice, right alongside breakfast. Your parents probably had it. Your doctors probably never told you not to have it. You've been told for decades that fruit juice is natural, full of vitamins, good for you. I need to show you what that juice is doing to your legs. I'm not going to tell you that fruit is bad. Fruit is genuinely one of the most powerful food groups for your vascular health, packed with antioxidants, flavonoids, potassium, and vitamin C that support the health of your blood vessels and your circulation. I will be talking about the fruits that help your legs later in this video, because there are some genuinely remarkable ones. But first, I want to explain why the form in which you consume fruit matters enormously. Because the difference between eating a whole orange and drinking a glass of orange juice, a difference most people consider trivial, has a significant and direct effect on blood sugar, inflammation, and leg swelling. Let me walk you through the mechanism. A medium orange contains approximately 12 to 13 grams of natural fruit sugar called fructose. It also contains about 3 grams of dietary fiber. That fiber is not incidental. It is the most important structural component of the whole fruit for our purposes. Fiber acts as a physical barrier inside the digestive tract. It slows the rate at which sugar is absorbed into the bloodstream. When you eat a whole orange and that fiber is intact, the 12 grams of sugar enter your blood gradually over 30 to 60 minutes. Your blood sugar rises gently. Your insulin response is moderate. Your blood sugar comes back down smoothly. Now take that same orange, or 3 of them, which is what it takes to make a standard 8-ounce glass of juice, and press out the juice. Almost all of the fiber is removed. It stays behind in the pulp that gets discarded. What you drink is essentially the sugar and water of the fruit, with most of the fiber gone. Without fiber to slow absorption, that sugar hits your bloodstream quickly. Your blood sugar rises sharply. Your body responds with a surge of insulin, and that sharp blood sugar spike, particularly when it happens first thing in the morning on an empty stomach, triggers an inflammatory response in your blood vessels. This is the connection that most of my patients have never heard. Repeated blood sugar spikes cause inflammation in the walls of your blood vessels, specifically in the endothelium, the thin cellular lining of the inside of the vein and artery walls. When the endothelium is chronically inflamed, it becomes less elastic and less able to properly regulate venous pressure. And elevated venous pressure is precisely the mechanism that causes fluid to leak out of your leg veins into the surrounding ankle tissue. In other words, daily juice, drunk first thing in the morning on an empty stomach, chronically spikes your blood sugar, chronically inflames your vessel walls, and chronically worsens the venous pressure that causes your ankles to swell. A single glass of juice will not cause a vascular crisis, but as a daily habit over months and years, in someone who already has the age-related vein changes that most people over 60 have, that morning juice habit is working against your legs every single morning. And here is what makes this even more striking. Most Americans are not drinking the small 4-ounce serving that nutrition labels are based on. Studies of actual serving sizes show that the average glass of orange juice poured at breakfast is 12 to 16 ounces. That is 3 to 4 times the reference serving. At 12 ounces of orange juice, you're getting approximately 30 to 36 grams of natural sugar, comparable to a can of soda, with almost no fiber to slow its absorption. First thing in the morning, on an empty stomach. I want to be clear, I'm not trying to frighten you away from fruit. I'm asking you to look at what form you're consuming it in, and to understand that the processing, even the very simple act of pressing out the juice, changes everything about what fruit does to your body. Let me show you which fruits are helping your legs and which ones, in the forms most people eat them, are working against you. There are 2 other fruit-derived foods I want to address before we get to the hero fruits, because they cause the same kind of blood sugar problem as juice, sometimes worse. The first is dried fruit. Raisins, prunes, dried cranberries, dried apricots, dates, dried mango. These are foods that many of my patients eat as a health snack. They're fruit, after all, natural, no added sugar, or so the label says. But here's what drying does to fruit. When water is removed from a fruit, the sugar that was distributed throughout that water becomes concentrated. A fresh grape contains about 17 calories and about 4 grams of sugar. A raisin, which is just a dried grape, contains about the same amount of sugar in a much smaller package. 1/4 cup of raisins contains approximately 29 to 30 grams of sugar, the same amount of sugar as a chocolate bar. And because it's a small volume of food, it's very easy to eat a 1/4 cup of raisins, or twice that, without registering it as a large sugar intake. The fiber content of dried fruit is actually reasonably good, but the sugar to fiber ratio is far higher than in whole fruit, and the glycemic impact, the blood sugar spike per gram consumed, is significantly greater. Dried cranberries are particularly concerning because they're often sweetened with added sugar to compensate for their natural tartness. That extra sugar on top of the already concentrated natural sugar makes them one of the highest glycemic health snacks you can eat. The second problem food is canned fruit in syrup. If you reach for canned peaches, canned pears, or canned fruit cocktail, pay close attention to the label. In heavy syrup means the fruit is packed in a concentrated sugar solution that adds significant additional grams of sugar beyond what's in the fruit itself. In light syrup is better, but still adds sugar. In juice or in water is the best option among canned fruits, the natural sugars of the fruit without additional sweetener. And here's the detail that often surprises my patients. Some canned fruits also contain meaningful amounts of sodium. A quick scan of the label on a can of fruit cocktail will sometimes reveal 80 to 100 milligrams of sodium per serving. Not enormous, but adding up over the day if you're eating canned fruit regularly. So those are the forms of fruit that work against your legs: juice, any kind, dried fruit in large portions, and canned fruit in syrup. Now let me spend some real time on the fruits that actively support your circulation, the ones I want you to eat more of. The single best fruit category for leg health is berries. Blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, blackberries, and cherries. Let me tell you why. Berries are the lowest glycemic fruits available. A cup of blueberries contains about 15 grams of natural sugar, the same as a glass of orange juice, but also contains nearly 4 grams of fiber, plus a family of antioxidant compounds called flavonoids that have direct, documented effects on blood vessel health. The flavonoids in berries, particularly a subclass called anthocyanins, which give blueberries and strawberries their deep color, have been shown in multiple research studies to strengthen the walls of small blood vessels and capillaries, reduce their permeability, and decrease the likelihood of fluid leaking out into surrounding tissues. They reduce inflammation in the vascular endothelium. They improve blood flow. A large long-term study published in a major cardiology journal found that women who ate 3 or more servings of blueberries and strawberries per week had significantly lower risk of cardiovascular events, with the mechanism linked directly to anthocyanin content. For your legs specifically, the capillary wall strengthening effect of berry flavonoids directly targets the mechanism of edema. Stronger capillary walls mean less fluid leaking into your ankle tissue. This is not theoretical. This is why I tell every single one of my patients with leg swelling to eat berries as a daily habit. Cherries deserve special mention because they contain a unique anti-inflammatory compound called quercetin, as well as melatonin, and have been shown in research to reduce markers of inflammation, specifically in the vascular system. Tart cherries, in particular, have one of the highest anti-inflammatory profiles of any fruit. A small bowl of fresh cherries or a small glass of tart cherry juice. Unlike other juices, tart cherry juice retains some of the beneficial compounds even after pressing, is a genuinely therapeutic choice for people managing inflammation and leg health. Whole citrus fruits, an actual orange, grapefruit, or clementine, eaten with the membrane and pulp intact, give you the vitamin C that is essential for collagen synthesis in blood vessel walls, plus flavonoids, plus the fiber that keeps blood sugar stable. Vitamin C is not a minor player here. The structural integrity of your vein walls depends on collagen, and collagen synthesis requires adequate vitamin C. Many of my older patients are mildly deficient in vitamin C without knowing it. A green apple with the skin on is another solid choice. Lower in sugar than red varieties, high in pectin fiber, and with a moderate glycemic impact when the skin is eaten. The practical takeaway? Eat whole fruit, favor berries, and limit the forms that concentrate or remove the fiber. Berries on oatmeal in the morning, fresh cherries as an afternoon snack, a whole orange or grapefruit at breakfast instead of the juice, a green apple with a small handful of walnuts in the afternoon. These simple substitutions make real differences in your blood sugar stability and your leg health. Let me bring all of this together with the most practical guidance I can give you. The central message of today's video is not that fruit is dangerous. The central message is that the form of the fruit matters as much as the fruit itself. And I want to give you a clear, simple framework for applying that principle every time you reach for something fruit-derived. Rule number 1. Always choose the whole fruit over the juice, the smoothie, or the dried form. This single rule, applied consistently, eliminates the blood sugar spike problem at the source. A whole orange instead of orange juice, a bunch of grapes instead of grape juice, a handful of fresh or frozen blueberries in your oatmeal instead of dried blueberries or blueberry juice. Fresh or frozen is always preferable to juiced or dried. The fiber stays intact. The blood sugar response stays moderate. The vascular benefits of the fruit's antioxidants are delivered without the inflammatory cost of the sugar spike. If you love smoothies, and many of my patients do, a smoothie made in a blender from whole fruit is meaningfully different from pressed juice. The blender breaks the fiber into smaller pieces, but does not remove it. The smoothie still has fiber, which slows sugar absorption. However, blended smoothies are digested faster than whole fruit eaten and chewed, so the glycemic impact is somewhat higher than eating the whole pieces. The ideal is to add protein or fat to a smoothie, a tablespoon of nut butter, a scoop of Greek yogurt, which further slows digestion and keeps blood sugar more stable. Rule number 2. Treat dried fruit as a condiment, not a snack. A teaspoon of raisins in your oatmeal for flavor. A few chopped dates in a recipe. A small sprinkle of dried cranberries on a salad for color. That is the appropriate role for dried fruit in a diet that's managing leg swelling. A handful of raisins as a standalone afternoon snack, eaten regularly, delivers a glycemic impact that accumulates over time and works against your veins. Rule number 3. Read labels on canned fruit. Choose in juice or in water over in syrup. Check the sugar content per serving and compare brands. There can be significant variation. And scan for sodium, which appears in some canned fruits and adds directly to fluid retention. Rule number 4. Time your fruit intake earlier in the day. Your body's ability to manage blood sugar follows a daily rhythm, circadian glucose metabolism. Insulin sensitivity is highest in the morning and gradually decreases through the afternoon and evening. This means the same amount of sugar from fruit causes a smaller blood sugar spike at 8 a.m. than at 8 p.m. Eating fruit-forward meals and snacks in the morning and at midday takes advantage of your body's natural glucose management peak. Saving large amounts of fruit for the evening, when insulin sensitivity is lowest, creates a larger blood sugar impact. This does not mean never eat fruit after noon. It means that if you're managing blood sugar and leg swelling, the morning and midday are the optimal windows for your highest fruit meals. Rule number 5. Build berries into your daily routine. I said it in the middle of this video, and I'll say it again at the end because it's that important. Berries are the single best fruit for vascular health. Low glycemic, high in flavonoids that directly strengthen blood vessel walls and reduce fluid leakage. Anti-inflammatory at the vascular level. Easy to eat, widely available, affordable in frozen form year-round. A daily cup of mixed berries, blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, provides a meaningful therapeutic dose of vascular protective flavonoids. Frozen berries are nutritionally identical to fresh and cost a fraction of the price. Thaw them overnight in the refrigerator or just add them frozen to oatmeal and they'll soften in a few minutes. This is what eating for your legs looks like in practice. Not eliminating fruit, embracing the right fruits in the right forms. I want to close today with a quick summary. The forms of fruit that can worsen leg swelling. juice of any kind, dried fruit in large quantities, and canned fruit in heavy syrup. These raise blood sugar quickly, trigger vascular inflammation, and for people over 60 with existing venous changes, they push the swelling problem in the wrong direction. The fruits that actively help your legs: whole berries daily, cherries, whole citrus, green apple with skin, and fresh whole fruit eaten with fiber intact. The simple rule to remember: eat the fruit, not the juice. The fiber is the point. Your legs are worth this attention. And making this one change, replacing your morning juice with a handful of berries or a whole piece of fruit, is a small action that compounds into meaningful vascular benefit over weeks and months. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. If this was helpful, please share it. I think a lot of people are drinking juice every morning without knowing this connection. And subscribe to Legs for Life for a new video every week. Healthy legs mean an independent life. Let's get that blood pumping and those legs moving.